Oh, just some scary movie.
You like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Look at me, Damien. It's all for you.
Kill her, Mommy. Kill her.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
This is my boomstick. Here's Johnny.
I have to return some videotapes.
We'll tear your soul apart.
Hello and welcome to All Things Horror. My name is Ben and I am joined here with a very special guest, my lovely wife Lana. If you're unfamiliar with the show, each week we choose a movie to break down and review. We give our honest opinions and rate it from 1 to 10. This week we're going to be talking about Christine from 1983. But before we do, let's take a quick look at the trailer.
She is seductive. She is passionate. She is possessive. She is pure. Evil. She is Christine, a 1958 Plymouth Fury, possessed by hell. Her previous owner is not alive to warn her present one. Once she lures you behind the wheel, you will be hers, body and soul. There is no place you can hide, no place you can run, and nothing you can do can stop her. Because how do you kill something that can't possibly be alive? Christine, body by Plymouth, soul by Satan.
Alright, so Christine from 1983. So a 17-year-old boy becomes obsessed with restoring a rusty 1958 Plymouth Fury. Unknown to him, the car is possessed by a murderous entity. So this is directed by the one and only John Carpenter, based on the book Christine by Stephen King, and the main cast is Keith Gordon, John Stockwell, Alexandra Paul, Robert Prosky, and Harry Dean Stanton, with a total runtime of 1 hour and 50 minutes. Obviously scored by John Carpenter, as he likes to score a lot of his movies. So yeah, first and foremost, welcome to the podcast. Welcome to All Things Horror, my lovely wife.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here.
I know you're much more of a book reader than a movie watcher, so have you read Christine?
I've read some of Christine, but
Right.
I couldn't get through it.
No.
I'm sorry to say. I just found he goes on and on about cars, and I like cars. I like old cars. I think they look really cool, but I don't like cars that much. So
Okay.
I like the movie, but the book, I just couldn't finish it.
That's not the first time I've heard someone say that about Stephen King. I know he kind of goes off rambling a little bit, is that right? Personally, I don't read a lot of books.
Yeah, he's very, very descriptive, which is good for a writer, but sometimes it can be a bit too much. Like, there's only so much you can explain in one stone, and then it just gets a bit too intense.
Yeah. Have you got a favourite Stephen King book?
So this one is really, really hard for me. I've been thinking for a long time. I think my favourite book, I'm going to say Salem's Lot.
Okay, alright.
Is about vampires. I don't know if have you seen the movie?
I know of it. I think I might have done many, many years ago, but I can't remember it at all.
Yeah, they've done a film. It's pretty old and it doesn't look very good. It's not the best done film. But the book I thought was fantastic. Like, never a dull moment. No over-describing. Yeah, it was just a really good book. Characters were great.
Yeah, there's loads of... I mean, I've got a kind of a small list here. These are all the movie adaptations of Stephen King. So we got Cujo, The Shining, Creepshow, Misery, Pet Sematary, The Green Mile, Carrie, It, Doctor Sleep. Obviously he's done more, but big fan of his movie adaptations?
I like some of them. So Pet Sematary, that was another one of my very favourite books. And I put that up there because I've read a few horror books and I've never like properly got scared, if you know what I mean. But when I was reading Pet Sematary, you know that scene with the sister, I think it is, and she's all kind of mangled and she falls down that stair lift through the house. The way that's written, that gave me goosebumps when I read that, and that's the first time a book's kind of done that to me, so that definitely goes up there. But the adaptation, I was so excited for it, and they changed so many things. I wasn't the biggest fan.
Yeah, they did that with the remake of the movie adaptation as well. I think about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe more, I don't know.
Yeah.
But they did a remake of Pet Sematary, and they changed a lot of that as well.
Yeah, I mean the original, they left out that scene entirely with the sister and all of like, because back then films weren't as long, were they? So I don't think they had time to kind of put all the details into it.
Yeah.
But the remake, it was originally the boy
that's
that
right,
died, and then they've changed it to the girl.
Spoiler
Spoiler one, sorry.
Right, we're not doing that film. Well, it turns out like while he was promoting the adaptation of Dreamcatcher, I'm not sure if you've seen that, in 2003, another Stephen King one, Stephen King mentioned that Christine was one of 2 film adaptations that actually bored him. He didn't like this.
Yeah, I've read that as well. He
And
didn't
I think
like it.
The other one was The Shining as well. He weren't a fan of that.
He didn't like the characters in The Shining because the woman, I can't remember her name. What's her name?
What, in The Shining?
In The Shining.
Oh, no, you're asking.
But she was written as quite like a strong feminine lead character, and the way they did her in the films was like a shrieking, a scream queen kind of.
Definitely.
So he didn't like that at all. Favourite movie though, Stephen King wise, I am going to say Shawshank Redemption. Because I just thought that was an excellent film. Really emotional, really gripping. I just thought it was done really well as well.
Yeah.
But I haven't read the book for that one.
Very different to a lot of his other stuff though, isn't it?
Yeah, very different.
Well, maybe The Green Mile, that was quite...
That was a really good one.
The closest to
well.
that one, yeah.
I really like that because it's got a bit like fantasy aspect as well. It's a bit like more fantasy horror.
You like your fantasy horror, don't
I
you?
like fantasy horror, definitely.
What about John Carpenter? You a big fan of him, or should I run through a few of his films?
Yeah, go through a few of his films.
So, I mean, this isn't the first John Carpenter one that we've done on the pod. I know we've done The Thing. I think there was another one, but I can't quite remember. Halloween, obviously. So he's done a total of 21 films.
Wow.
His first one back in 1974 was called Dark Star, and then he followed that up with Assault on Precinct 13. That's supposed to be a really good one, but I've not seen that. And then his most known film in 78 was Halloween.
Of course.
Yeah, and then The Fog, Escape from New York, then The Thing, which is my personal favourite. I really like The Thing. Then this one, Christine, Prince of Darkness, and They Live. Yeah, all great films.
Yeah, he's a good director, definitely. Lots of good horror films. I think that's why Christine is quite a good film, because it's like 2 gelled together good horror minds.
Yeah, definitely. I did mention that actually on the last one we did, Creepshow, because that was George A. Romero and Stephen King. 2 great, director and writer. When they come together, there's something about that when there's a really good writer and a really good director and they both just bond so well. It's just magic then. You know you're going to be in for something really good.
Yeah, super special film then.
But John Carpenter wasn't too jazzed on this either.
No, wasn't keen.
Weren't keen. According to him, Christine was not a film that he'd planned on directing, saying that he saw it as more of a job than a personal project.
Oh, interesting.
He stated that upon reading Christine, he felt it wasn't very frightening, but it was something he needed to do at that time for his career.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting idea, but being particularly scary, I don't think it's not the scariest, is it?
No. But I mentioned this on the episode of The Thing that we covered. That one did really poorly at the box office, and it led to a lot of critical backlash. And that really, for him, stunned his career a little bit. And that was the film that he'd done just before they did Christine. So The Thing was in 1982 and this is 1983. So this was the next project he was doing. So I'd imagine he's probably feeling a lot of the pressure on this to try and bring his rep back up.
He wants to make up for the film before that didn't do so well.
Which is a shame because I really like The Thing.
Yeah,
that's one of my all-time favourite films.
He should get together with Stephen King and they should remake Salem's Lot, because that would be fantastic.
I think someone is doing a remake of that.
I've seen a rumour, but whether or not
is that right?
is,
I wasn't sure if I was
nothing's
making that
been
up.
announced, I don't think.
But there is rumours that there's going to be. Oh, okay, all right. Which is also interesting because apparently there's a remake in the works for this one.
Is there? I didn't know that.
And you're going to like this because this was in June of 2021. Sony Pictures and Blumhouse announced that they were going to do a remake of Christine with Brian Fuller penning the script. Do you recognise that name?
Blumhouse is the one that's done Hannibal, right?
We've been watching the Hannibal series.
So the series Hannibal.
And Brian Fuller was the guy that scripted Hannibal. He created Hannibal, the series. That we're really quite into at the moment.
That would be a really good remake then, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Because that's a good series. It's very dark.
We're a bit late to the party on it, but we've just found it recently.
Absolutely late to the party.
But it's really good.
Brilliant series.
So Brian Fuller, I think, is going to be doing that project of Christine.
That would be a good one then.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That would be a really good one. This is interesting. Apparently, Kevin Bacon was to play the role of Arnie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but he opted out because he got offered the lead role in Footloose.
I'm glad he didn't. I don't think Kevin Bacon suits it.
Do you know what I think? I think he would have done a well good job.
No. I think, so the character in the book is so kind of nerdy and geeky and ugly that even the guy that's playing him, I don't think he's ugly enough.
Yeah, that's true, because I think they did mention it a few times throughout.
Yeah.
You know, how, like, kind of geeky and how awkward
like,
and
even
nerdy.
when I was reading the book, I imagined him, like, having all acne and really ugly face, and then it comes on the screen and, like, I mean, he's not the best looking chap, but he's got nice skin and...
Keith Gordon playing Arnie, He does play it well.
Which is a very big compliment, probably, for Keith, but he's not ugly enough. Yeah.
But I don't know, because this is 83, so Kevin Bacon would have still been quite young. I think his debut in horror was Friday the 13th, which was 1980. So we watched that not long ago, didn't we?
We did,
so
that would have been the right kind of age.
Yeah,
for
still
it.
quite young. But I'll just mention as well, the budget for this was 10 million and it made a box office of 21 million. So they more than doubled.
Wow, decent.
Their budgets, and that's good. And Rotten Tomatoes, it's got a pretty good score. Better critics rating than there is an audience, which is a bit weird because normally the audience vote it better than the critics. But critics have voted it for 71% on Rotten Tomatoes. Audience is at 64%.
Okay, so he made up for it then, John Carpenter, a bit.
Yeah.
He doubled his take in.
Yeah, I'm sure he's happy with it after the fact.
Yeah, I'm sure it made a lot of money. It's a very famous film, isn't it?
Yeah. But I think this was still quite early on in his career. 83. But yeah, I think that's all I've got for now. Unless you've got anything that you want to add on.
That's all I've got on John Carpenter.
Yeah?
Yeah. For now.
Anything you want to mention before we head into the spoilers and start going through the plot?
No?
No? Alright, cool. Well then, let's head into the spoilers.
Spoiler warning.
Alright, so let's run through the plot. So, the movie starts out in the late 1957. A red and white 1958 Plymouth Fury is being built on the assembly line. The car injures a factory worker by slamming its hood shut on his hand. When someone else sits in the driver's seat and flicks cigar ashes on the upholstery, the car suddenly starts playing 1950s rock and roll music, and later the worker is found dead inside the car. What do you make of this opening scene of the film?
Christine ain't taking no cigarette ash on her seat, is she?
No,
sir.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it's interesting that the only car in that production line that's red is Christine.
Yeah.
Because they actually, in the first 2 years of making Plymouth Furies, I don't know if you knew this, but they only made them in white and cream.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, it's sandstone white.
Oh, excuse me.
with a buckskin beige interior. But yeah, no, that's absolutely correct. And just like this, the car in King's novel was ordered with a red and white custom paint job.
Yeah, part of me thinks that's what inspired his idea a little bit, because when the red one came out, red's like a dark, evil colour, you know.
Yeah. I mean, a brand spanking new car, still in the factory, and some guy just gets in and flicks cigar ash on the seat. I mean, he deserved it.
That is super
He had
rude,
it coming.
yeah. You can't do that. You can't do that to a nice car.
That was actually an abandoned furniture factory. I'm going to probably butcher this. Irwindale? Have you ever heard of that place?
No.
Irwindale?
Irwindale.
Yeah, that's where it was, wherever that is.
Nice. Good.
Irwindale. But yeah, I mean, I'm used to watching horrors about, monsters and serial killers and all kinds of gruesome visual scenes. But having a heavy car bonnet slammed down on your fingers, that really made me twitch.
Yeah, that looks painful, definitely. I love the way they do the camera work on it as well. Like, it's almost as if you're watching that guy's hand from the point of view of Christine, about to pounce and get him. I think that's really clever, the way they've done the camera work there.
And I think the music that intros this was Bad to the Bone by George Thorogood.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, interestingly enough, I think I've got this in my notes towards the end, because this film starts and ends with that same song, but everything throughout the film is all kind of 50s rock and roll music. Very interesting.
Yeah.
And I do love a bit of George Thorogood.
Love a bit of rock and roll. 50s rock and roll.
I love it all. So 20 years later, a nerdy teenager, Arnold, aka Arnie Cunningham, he spots the Fury decaying in a yard of a rundown house. The owner tells them that the car's name is Christine, and despite the objections of his friend Dennis, Arnie purchases the car for $250. But at school, Arnie is bullied by Buddy and his gang. Buddy is expelled after threatening Arnie with a switchblade. Arnie's parents refuse to let Arnie keep the car at their house. What do you make of Arnie and Dennis's friendship?
I think it's quite sweet at first. You got Arnie, the nerdy, ugly, or not as ugly as he should be, kid. And then you've got Dennis, he's, a bit more with the ladies, and he's got his laddie friends. I think it's sweet that they've got this friendship, and then you've obviously got the bit in the classroom where the kids are bullying Arnie, and Dennis is trying to stick up for him. He doesn't do a very good job in the end, but it's nice that he's trying.
Yeah.
I do think he's done that character really well, though. The person acting for Dennis, I think he's done the smug kind of arrogant teenage boy really well.
Definitely. It's very, it kind of breaks the normal boundary of who hangs out with who, especially in an American high school. I think Dennis is more the jock kind of guy, and Arnie's the nerdy little kid, but they're best friends, which is cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Dennis really wants to look out for Arnie, doesn't he? He wants to make sure he's not getting picked on and make sure he's all right.
I think it's more real. I don't think, we live in the UK, so I can't really speak what it's actually like in American high school, but I like to think it's not how it makes out in traditional
it's very
sitcoms.
Clicky, isn't it?
Arnie, he's kind of overly nerdy, I think. He hits all the marks that you'd think a nerd is. He's falling over everything. He can't open his locker.
Yeah.
He's taped up the middle of his glasses.
Oh, yeah, and then Dennis just comes and punches it and it swings open.
Yeah.
Of course.
And Dennis, he's just got girls falling over him.
Yeah.
Like that one girl who just cannot take her eyes off him. Like the blonde one. It's TTFN,
Ta-ta for now. Also, who says that? Has anyone ever said that?
I've
Maybe
never heard that.
in the 80s. Don't know.
But that bully, Buddy, the big greaser guy, he's he looked way too old to be a high school kid.
I thought that as well.
In school. He looked like Jim Morrison from The Doors. But I think it seems to be a thing for old 80s movies to have that cool leather jacket wearing greaser.
Yeah, I think so.
With a switchblade.
I was reminded again of Stranger Things watching it. You can see how inspired it is by these old movies.
Yeah. Oh yes. Yeah.
Billy,
definitely.
From
yeah,
Stranger Things. With the hair and everything.
But then Arnie sees Christine in the car in the front yard, as they call it in America. Did you notice who that weird bearded man was?
No,
did you
who
recognise
was he?
him?
No.
He is also the weird bearded man who lives next door, the scary neighbour from Home Alone.
Ah,
who's always shoveling the snow off his grass.
Yeah, weird beardy from Home Alone.
It's weird because he plays literally the exact same character.
He plays a good weirdy beardy man.
Yeah.
Great.
I'm sure he's done more films, but these are the only two films I know him from. They're exactly the same.
We'll have to have a look, see if he plays any more.
Yeah. And when I found it quite funny how Dennis was like, oh, you can get a really decent car for $250.
Yeah.
He's like, nowadays you can't even buy a bicycle for $250.
No, not really. So there was a bit in that scene, I don't know if you noticed it, where when he's haggling the price with the weirdy beardy man, Dennis pokes in and goes, oh, he's got a Mustang at the minute. But that is, again, like I was saying earlier, Dennis trying to look out for Arnie. So this was a bit in the book actually where he's trying to say, oh, he's already got this good car, so he doesn't get ripped off by the beardy man. I don't know if you noticed that, but obviously because he's just got his license, he hasn't got a car. His parents wouldn't let him have a car.
Yeah.
So that's Dennis trying to say, oh yeah, he's got a Mustang already. So
oh right, okay.
Be careful. He knows stuff about cars.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
So I thought it's interesting that's a line they chose to put in the movie as well.
Yeah.
It really illustrates those characters, doesn't it?
What do you make Arnie's parents? They're too strict, I think. They're really strict.
Yeah, no wonder he is how he is.
Yeah. His mum especially, is just so strict. They wouldn't even let him keep the car on the driveway.
No. Yeah, I don't understand that. I mean, as parents now, for me, I'd want them to have a car, you know? Poor Arnie.
Poor Arnie.
Poor Arnie. No wonder he's a big nerd.
Yeah. So Arnie begins to restore Christine at the garage, a junkyard owner by Will Darnell. Arnie's appearance and personality begin to change as he works on Christine. He gets rid of the glasses, he dresses better, he develops a cockiness, arrogance, and his obsession with Christine puts a strain on his relationship with his parents and even with his best friend Dennis. Dennis learns from the cellar that the Fury's previous owner was obsessed with Christine and that his daughter choked to death in the car and that he and his wife both committed suicide in it. So, yeah, it teased it in the intro, and now we're kind of more aware that something is up with this car, where it takes over the owner and kills anyone that kind of gets in the way of it.
Yeah, we're definitely starting to get vibes from this car. There's something up with it. Definitely the minute Arnie drops it off in the garage, I'm thinking, yeah, that guy's gonna die. He's being so rude to them both, isn't he? And Christine's just watching.
You mean Darnell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The garage owner.
Garage owner.
That's it, yeah. I'm thinking, he's gonna die.
I like him though. I thought he was a good character.
Is he your favourite character?
I thought he was quite good.
Oh.
Because it's like, there's even a scene where he starts getting used to Arnie and he warms up to him a little bit and he starts helping him out. And he's like, you can help around. And he opens up and Arnie's like, yeah, I'll think about it. And he's like, well, don't think too long about it. He just snaps back into being a mean, grumpy old man again.
Yeah, it's like for a minute he's like, oh, maybe he could work for me. And then in an instant he's like, oh, no. How dare you? How dare you not accept my offer right away?
I think the fact that Arnie has suddenly become cooler, because he's now wearing a leather jacket, he's got a cool car that he's fixing up, he's thrown away his glasses somehow. He couldn't see anything before, but now he don't read it. He doesn't need...
Did he get contact lenses, or how did that happen? We don't know. He just doesn't see properly now.
Christine off his laser eye surgery, apparently.
Maybe. She is magical.
But yeah, I just thought it was a bit, I don't know, unbelievable. A little bit cheesy, kind of like a sitcom type situation.
Yeah, for me,
I was a nerd, but now I've got this cool car and a jacket, so I'm cool now.
Yeah, I think for me, it kind of happened a bit too suddenly. Like, I get it's supposed to be the car is influencing him, I guess, and changing his personality, because you can see he gets more angry the minute he gets home with the car. But it just seemed too sudden. To go from one scene he was this nerdy. Maybe if they'd done it a bit more gradual.
Saying that, I think because it did pop up, I didn't make any notes of it, but it did pop up with the dates throughout, so I think this whole film is spaced over a few months, so yeah, it's not like everything's as sudden as it makes out.
Yeah, it feels it a little bit, but yeah, you're right, it does come up with the dates.
I didn't really pay much attention to it, but it's funny because no one seems to like Christine. Everyone just immediately hates Christine. Dennis thinks it's a piece of shit. He literally says, "Oh, it's a piece of shit."
Well, it is, isn't it? Before he fixes it.
Well, yeah, I know, but the car's
trash
still
car.
His parents, they're just disgusted by it. They think it's awful. And Darnell, he says to one of the other garage owners, he goes, that he's got a bad taste in cars and that you can't polish a turd.
That's a good point, yeah. Something about a Plymouth Fury that people didn't like in the 80s.
They hated it.
I suppose it was an old car, wasn't it? Because in the beginning it was 1958 or something, wasn't it? When it was being manufactured. Yeah. So maybe because he was saying it was vintage, they're it's old, it's not a new posh car.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, but I think it's beautiful.
I really like it. I really like vintage cars.
I mean, yeah, it's all beaten up and a bit shoddy looking, but the actual car itself, lovely. I'd get possessed by it. So, An attractive new student, Lee. She attends one of Dennis's football games with Arnie. Dennis sees them together and notices that Christine is now fully restored. Distracted by this during the game, he suffers a severe injury that puts him in hospital and ends his high school football career. Yeah.
Again, like with the pacing of the film, I found this a bit sudden because it goes from Dennis was trying to chat up this girl, and she said, oh, I've got a date. And then out of nowhere, the date's Arnie, and we don't see any of that. But then actually, I mean, I didn't actually read all of the books, but from what I did read, it was more like from Dennis's point of view.
Okay.
So I wonder if they're trying to do it kind of from his perspective. So obviously that would be quite a sneak up on you thing, that, you know, Arnie's changing suddenly. He's going out with this girl.
Yeah.
And then it's not until after he has his injury at the football game that it kind of switches to more of like a narrative perspective. So that's when we kind of start to actually see what it is Christine is capable of.
That's interesting, actually, because thinking about it, is Arnie the actual main character of this movie? Or would you consider Dennis as a main character? Because Arnie definitely starts off as the main character.
Yeah.
But then he goes a bit wrong, and you only see glimpses of him when he's more evil kind of looking.
He goes a bit wrong. He does go wrong.
It kind of veers into Dennis's side.
So it is.
Maybe
I think it is more from his perspective. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, Dennis is someone that you really begin to feel sorry for. He clearly loved Lee. Like, he was so interested in her. And then his little nerdy friend just kind of like swoops in and steals
the girl.
Yeah. But he's not your typical jock who's like a big-headed and popular.
Yeah, he's sweet about it.
Yeah, he's a normal guy. Which again, it kind of breaks from the usual, the
cliche American
that's what
thing. American cliques.
Yeah.
I do feel sorry a bit for Arnie though in the end. I know we haven't got that far yet, but because when Lee starts like she's cuddling all on Dennis, and you think, really? Weren't you just interested in his best friend? Aren't you both trying to save that guy?
Yeah, but he did kind of try and kill her.
Yeah, he did kind of try and kill her, I guess.
Well, he didn't. But
his car did.
Yeah. So Arnie and Lee begin a relationship, but while watching a drive-in movie theatre in the rain, Lee becomes uncomfortable with Christine. Arnie gets out to fix the windshield wiper, and the car's radio turns on by itself. Once again, playing 1950 rock and roll. As Lee begins to choke on her food, Arnie finds the doors are locked and cannot get back inside to save her. Lee eventually frees herself, and another man administers the Heimlich maneuver to save her life. Later, Lee tells Arnie that she will not get back in that car again.
Yeah, she's getting jealous of Christine. It's funny because there's so many, like, again, it's a cliche of men being in love with their cars, isn't it? Like, oh, my baby, my girl, and they give it girly names.
Yeah.
I actually used to work with a woman that said to me she'd split up with her boyfriend at the time because he was more obsessed with his car.
I've known people who've done that as well.
You have as well.
I've heard of girls splitting up with boys because they're so more focused in their cars than their relationship.
Exactly. I feel like that definitely inspired a lot of this film as well. A lot of the book when he wrote it as well.
Yeah. And of course it's a drive-in movie theatre. Couldn't just go to a normal theatre. I had to bring Christine.
And what an absolute waste of a movie. They're just in that car snogging. What was the point? Might as well just pull up in a car park.
Yeah. But even so, I mean, that was pissing it down with rain, so you couldn't exactly watch the movie anyway. No. It was like the worst time to go to a drive-in movie theatre.
Idiots.
Yeah. Maybe because I love my movies, I just can't picture watching one in my car.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm not possessed by mine, so...
No, your little Peugeot doesn't possess you. I thought it's quite cute as well how the song that comes on the radio is that love song for Arnie. Like, you can see Christine starting to love him back.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think all the songs that Christine plays are like kind of relative to the situation that's happening.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
They've done it really well, like what songs they've picked.
Like when Dennis kind of breaks into the garage to have a closer look at Christine, and I think he like banging on the door a little bit, and then that song comes on. I forgot who it was by, but it's you keep on knocking but you can't come in.
Oh yeah.
That is spot on.
She knows.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
This is like the first scene that we actually properly get to see Christine in action. I really like the use of the heavy kind of bright lights and the loud 50s music. It kind of really amped up the tension of what's happening.
Yeah, it does. It almost makes you scared because you know something's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because every time that radio plays, something's going to happen.
That also kind of breaks the mold of a typical scary situation in a horror movie. Normally it's like really dark, you can't really see anything, and it goes super quiet and you're waiting for something. But this did the complete opposite. Full lights beamed right up, loud rock and roll music.
All your senses on fire.
You can see everything that's happening. Yeah. And that kind of makes things a bit worse, I think. It's really...
Yeah, it's almost like
shocking,
a sensory diversion, you know? Yeah. There's so much going on that you just lose.
Lee mentions that when she was choking, an old song came on. Like we just said, we kind of see that scattered throughout typical like 50s rock and roll music, but that is all songs that she would have known back in her heyday. Obviously, being a 58 Plymouth Fury, she's only playing 50s music. Yeah. So she can't play anything modern. Yeah. Everything that's coming out of her radio is songs that she knows.
Lee even says, doesn't she? She says, and it's all old songs.
Yeah. It's a cool little bit that they've thrown in there.
Yeah, definitely all the details.
I'd imagine that's probably in the book. Something about the music.
I didn't get that far. I don't know though.
Well, you reckon that might be a Carpenter?
I think, I'm not saying for sure because I haven't read all the book, but it's not very common for like songs to be quoted in books. So
okay.
It could be.
Maybe.
Could be. But I think it's a Carpenter touch, personally.
Carpenter, like I said earlier, he scores all of his own movies. Well, most of his own movies. He likes to do his own scoring, his own like movie ambient kind of feeling. So maybe it could be.
Yeah, or even if it just says in the book, you know, 1950s rock and roll song plays kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then they've chosen the actual songs for the screenplay.
So Buddy and his gang go to Darnell's shop and vandalise Christine in retaliation for Buddy's expulsion. Beating the car with mallets and slashing the seats and smashing the windows and dashboard. Upon discovering the damaged car, Arnie is so distraught that he angrily breaks up with Lee when she tries to console him. Later, he returns to the garage alone, and Christine reveals that she can magically repair herself. This is probably the scene that might stand out the most. Like, you think Christine, you think of the repair scene where she repairs herself in the garage. What do you reckon?
Oh, I feel sad for Lee. I think because they were just like starting to get quite close, and he was saying, "Oh, we should apply for the same schools next year," and then it's all messed up.
Yeah, you can see him kind of die inside a little bit when he sees Christine, because she even says, like, he starts, because they were happily walking holding hands down the garage, and then he starts squeezing her hand when he gets a glimpse of Christine.
And she's saying, what's wrong?
Yeah
Because It's sad as well because she was obviously bad-mouthing Christine last time, so he is instantly gone to thinking she's done something because she doesn't like the car. Do you know what it reminds me of? Do you remember when you had that Michael Myers figure on the windowsill upstairs?
Yeah.
And I said I hated it and I didn't want it on the windowsill there anymore.
Then all of a sudden it
and then
broke.
it fell out the window. It wasn't me.
Okay.
And oh my God, you still think it's me.
Yeah.
It wasn't me.
Alright, okay.
You still don't believe me.
No, I don't know.
Okay, well it wasn't me.
Okay.
But this is what it reminds me of, because then he thinks it was her.
He
And
thinks it
she's
was
like, oh, but I didn't do anything. I don't like the car, but I didn't do it. I promise. And I just know the feeling.
Alright. Yeah, we really see a different side of Arnie now, like his obsession with Christine. I think it's pretty safe to say that the car is possessing him. That's why he's changing.
Definitely
Like he is possessed
influencing
by
him.
the car, which is something I don't think that's ever been done. I mean, there's a lot of possession movies out there, but I don't think possessed by a car.
Well, when you read the synopsis, you said that the car was possessed by an entity.
Yeah,
but was
that's
that
what
ever
it
actually
says.
made clear that it
I
is an
don't think so.
entity? Because
No.
I just thought the car was
Unknown to him,
kind of meant to be alive.
the car is possessed by a murderous entity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I guess whatever you feel like you want it to be.
Well, yeah.
I feel like it's the car. Like the car's got, I was going to say personality, but that makes me sound crazy. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
The car is alive.
I found it quite hard to watch those guys, that gang, completely destroy that beautiful car.
I know. When they went in for the seats with the knife. Oh,
Yeah.
that was horrible.
Yeah. And
Poor Christine.
I'll get to it in the trivia, but I have mentioned the amount of cars that they went through for this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of cars.
They had to go through quite a lot. Apparently it was quite hard to find them all as well, because even back then it was a really rare car.
Not cool.
Not cool.
But yeah, definitely there is something changing a lot about Arnie. You can see even his parents are getting scared of him now. Like when he gets in that fight with his dad.
Oh, and he chokes. Well, he goes to choke
and he
him,
like
and he
grabs
him.
his shirt, like to, you know, doing this strict dad, and he grabs him by the neck and throws him against the wall. You think, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then the dad is just shaking at the bottom of the stairs.
Yeah. I bet Arnie feels pretty dumb that the fact he's spent like weeks or months, however long it's been, restoring that car, spending so much time and money to get it so perfect, and then it can just completely repair itself in a matter of seconds.
I thought that as well. I thought, God, you kept that quiet, Christine, when he spent all that time working on you. Maybe he needed to put all that work in, you know, to prove his love for her before she'd kind of come alive and start showing off for him.
But then I was thinking as well, why was it sat in the driveway in a total state for all that time when it could repair itself? Or does it need someone there
because
to help repair it?
Because the guy, Weirdy Beardy guy, said it was his brother's, didn't he? And then his brother...
Yeah, his brother died. I think he said about 6 weeks ago.
He killed himself in the car.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened. I'd like to know more about that. I bet it says in the book, but... But yeah, so maybe Christine was feeling sad, feeling sorry for, oh, what have I done? I've taken it too far. So she's waiting to lure in another man.
So later that evening, after Christina's repaired herself, she chases down Moochie, a member of Buddy's gang, and kills him by pinning him against a brick wall. The next day, police detective Rudy Junkins questions Arnie about the death, but lets him go once Arnie provides an alibi. Later, Christine targets the rest of the gang, cornering Buddy and his friends in a gas station. She destroys their car, kills Buddy's friends, then starts a fire that destroys the entire gas station, Buddy escapes on foot, but Christine, now engulfed in flames, chases him down and runs him over.
Oh, that was a cool scene though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Flaming car.
Yeah. Oh, that was such a great visual, seeing Christine in flames.
Yeah.
I mean, a beautiful red car, but also with
on fire,
huge flames coming off her.
This is the point where I started to wonder as well, how many cars did they go through in the making of this movie? Like the amount of crashes and like regenerations.
Yeah, I mean, you think the repair scenes and the flame scenes and the chase scenes, there's a lot that goes into this movie.
Set a car on fire, crashed it God knows how many times.
Yeah.
Ripped up its seats. This car's been through the wars.
But yeah, justice is served. Moochie, he must have been bricking it when he see Christine, because literally just a few hours ago, like the previous day, him and the others just completely annihilated that car to the point where there was like nothing left of it.
Yeah, I mean, even if you did have the willpower to put the car back together after that, you couldn't do it overnight.
In a matter of hours, it is just brand spanking new.
There'd be no way.
And it's chasing him down. Like, how scary is that?
Yeah. He thinks that Arnie is driving it, doesn't he, at first? But then was he? Because the windows are all blacked out.
No,
because we don't know.
No, I think because the police question him again.
Oh, he had an alibi,
and he has another alibi.
What was he doing?
I don't know. I think he said he was at home with his parents.
Ah, so he wasn't in it that time then?
Don't think so.
But he's saying, isn't he, the guy that's getting killed, that's getting put up against the wall, he's saying, stop it, Arnie, stop this.
Yeah. But when, well, maybe it was in it. I don't know. I can't think. But I know when he goes to the hospital and visits Dennis the following day, he's so happy and smug. He's like, did you hear about Moochie? You know?
It makes you
and
feel
Dennis
like...
is like, yeah, I did, you know?
Like, that's not a good thing, Arnie. Guy got squashed.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gone really wrong at this point.
He's so happy, like, that Moochie's dead.
Yeah, and Dennis is like, why are you so happy about that? I mean, he's not a good guy, but no one deserves to be smashed against a wall.
A little fun fact. The film's stunts were primarily completed by the stunt coordinator, Terry Leonard. He was behind the wheel for a lot of their stunts, like the high-speed chase scenes and the scene where the car is completely engulfed in flames. So during that scene, when it's on fire, Leonard had to wear like a Nomex firefighter's suit. Oh, wow. Complete with breathing apparatus whilst driving.
Well, all the windows were blacked out, weren't they? So even the front windows. I wonder if they actually blacked out the windows or if they did that after on like special effects or something.
That's what I noticed as well, because at some point, sometimes when you see the car throughout the film, the windows look really blacked out. They look really like tinted. They've probably just tried to do it, because I think every time you see it tinted, it's quite dark inside.
Yeah, I feel like outside. When it's tinted, that's when it's Christine doing it on her own.
Yeah, but throughout the day,
when Arnie's not driving,
in the daytime, like when they're at the football match or when that police inspector is questioning him in the car park, it's completely clear windows. You can see fine through the windows. But when it's like nighttime and it's a bit darker, it's like they're just completely black tinted. You can't see anything.
Maybe that's her angry face. Clear windows when she's relaxed and just cruising.
So, Christine returns to Darnell's garage. Darnell, confused by the lack of driver, gets into the car.
Why? What is he thinking? In what world would you just...
Yeah.
Oh, a car, smoking, on fire. Let's sit in it and look pleased with myself. Why?
I know, it sees it rolling in, and he goes to open the door,
fire.
And he burns his hand on the handle, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Like, so he uses a thing to open it, and he still gets in.
And why would you that? Like, he looked proper happy with himself as well.
Yeah, he's like,
really
look
smug.
at me.
Oh, unless maybe Christine was like hypnotising him under her. Yeah.
Come on in, take
Come
a seat.
in, yeah.
Adjust your seat.
Get comfy on my flaming seats.
Here, let me move you forward a little bit. So when he's in the car, Christine's radio turns on. And Darnell finds himself choking to death after being crushed against the steering wheel by the seat that's moving forward. By the time the police find the body, Christine is once more in new condition. Junkins again questions Arnie, who becomes angry and gives another alibi. So yeah, there we are.
Another
He's got an alibi.
I knew he was going to die, though.
Did you?
Yeah. I said at the beginning, as soon as he started being rude.
Oh, I guess he's not
Arnie
like
and Dennis.
He's not like a main kind of standout character, is he? So
Yeah.
you can kill him off.
He's your favourite.
I like him. I thought he was alright. So this is the third time that we see Christine's capability. Like, you got the first guy in the factory, the production line. We don't necessarily, I don't think we actually see how he dies, but I would imagine it would be kind of like choking or some kind of gas poisoning, I don't know. Then the attempt at killing Lee from choking her to death in the drive-in theatre. And now we got poor old Darnell, who essentially got squashed to death.
Yeah. She's getting round, definitely.
Yeah. I don't know. I would have thought Christine would have liked Darnell, would have appreciated him. Because if it weren't for him, she wouldn't have had all those parts. I guess she don't really need them. But
yeah, but he's just seen her roll in on fire. So these kids just got killed in an explosive fire. Then he's going to say, the car came in last night on fire.
Christine thinks he knows too much.
Yeah, she's like, this guy's cool. He's got all the car parts.
But he's got to go.
He's got to go, I'm afraid. And he was rude to Arnie.
At first.
Yeah, he kind of made up for it.
I noticed a couple of times throughout the movie you get a real quick flash shot of the mileage. I don't know whether you picked up on this, but the mileage meter, it seemed to be going down throughout the movie. Like when he bought it, I think it was about 90 something thousand miles.
Yeah, it was
because
high.
Dennis says, it's almost got 100k miles. And then at some point during the restoration throughout the film, it was on about 80 something thousand. But at this point, it was on like 68,000. So
no, I didn't notice that.
It's like she's getting newer. Her mileage is going down somehow.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder what their theory behind that is.
I don't know. So, Lee and Dennis conclude that Christine has turned Arnie into someone else, and the only way to save him is to destroy her. They plan to lure Christine to the garage and smash her with a bulldozer, but Christine surprises them by emerging from a pile of scrap metal. Lee flees on foot whilst Dennis battles Christine with the bulldozer. Arnie is now driving Christine. In an attempt to run Lee down, Christine crashes into Darnell's office and Darnie is thrown out of the windshield, impaling himself on broken glass. He reaches out and touches Christine's front grille as he dies.
Aww, poor Arnie.
I know.
He had so much to live for.
Well... Yeah, Christine continues to attack, repairing herself more quickly than ever. Dennis and Lee manage to corner her and flatten her with a bulldozer. The scene where Arnie and Dennis are driving, you see, I think Arnie picks up Dennis. Is that right? Yeah, Arnie picks up Dennis and Christine.
Yeah, they're going to a New Year's party.
That's right, yeah. But Arnie is getting off the rails, like he's drinking beer whilst driving quite fast.
Really drunk.
Yeah, he's saying to him, was like, "Oh, what's the matter with you? Lighten up, have a beer." And he's just chugging beers whilst driving, and then he takes his hands off the wheel to like show off. He's like, "Hey, look what I can do!" And he takes his hand off, and Arnie Arnie even says that he wants him to see the car's amazing alignment, and he just goes round a bend, like around a corner.
Fully drives around a corner with his hands off the wheel.
Yeah,
I need a car like that. Self-driving.
So it's basically like Arnie just showing Dennis, look what this car can do.
Yeah.
This car literally has a mind of its own.
Maybe that's where Elon Musk gets his ideas.
I made a
from.
note for that. I was like, it's essentially a Tesla.
Yeah.
It can drive itself. But that final showdown in the garage, Arnie looks so sinister when he's sat inside Christine, because you get a shot glimpse of him, because it's the first time where you actually see him behind the wheel.
And that's what made me think, because all of the windows are blacked out there. So in my head, I thought, oh, it's just Christine. Arnie's at home in bed.
Yeah.
And then you see him, and it's
you see him in there.
He's actually in there. So has he been in there all the time?
Wow.
Was he in there when the bullies were getting killed? Don't know now.
Yeah.
Makes you question it.
Yeah.
Maybe Arnie did deserve to die.
But he is getting more obsessed. Well, he's getting more possessed the more he's being around Christine. It's like more and more throughout the film. He just
and
gets
everyone
worse and
becomes
worse.
a shitter, don't they?
Yeah.
Everyone is a shitter in every sentence. They're all shitters, Dennis. All of them.
Did you expect Arnie to die?
No, I didn't think he'd die.
No, I didn't.
I thought they'd manage to get him away from Christine. I didn't think they'd destroy Christine.
It's not that, it's not really a horror. It's not like a typical horror movie. You have kind of, it's more of a thriller. You get scary moments, but it's not like things are so like gruesome and stuff like that. There's not really any blood in this film. You know
Although
what I mean?
I really jumped on that scene where they're in the garage and she's hiding underneath all the
scrum
cardboard.
metal.
Yeah. And then that comes with the score as well, where because it was the noise, everything was quiet, and there she just got out the steamroller thing. And I'm thinking, oh, this slag, cuddling up with Dennis. And then suddenly, bam, Christine's coming to get her.
Yeah, that's a
I
good...
jumped out of my skin.
That's a good point, actually. The score, because I always kind of look past the score. Unless it's right there in your face, I kind of forget it's there. I'm focusing more on the movie than the actual sound. But that, every time you see Christine about to attack, like she's got her lights off, and then, especially like Moochie, the fat guy, like he's standing in the middle of the road and the lights are off. And he's like, Cunningham, is that you? And then the lights just beam. It goes, bing!
Yeah,
and then you get that score behind
like
it as well.
the sound is saying beam as well, isn't it? Like, beam.
Yeah.
Very jumpy, definitely.
But I didn't expect Arnie to die. I thought they were going to crumple up Christine to the point where there's nothing left, and then Arnie will then not kind of be possessed by her anymore. I think it would kind of like wear off on him and he'd go back to being like a little nerdy kid again.
Yeah, I didn't even think he was in the car, so I thought he was safe at home.
But then again, it's Stephen King, so...
Yeah, he does like to kill off his characters.
So, alright, we're getting to the end of this now. So, the next day, Dennis, Lee and Jenkins watch as the remains of Christine are crushed into a cube at the junkyard. Jenkins congratulates the teens for stopping Christine, but they regret not being able to save Arnie. The sound of a 1950s rock and roll song spooks them briefly, but it proves to be coming from a boombox carried by a junkyard worker.
Ah, but is it?
But, unbeknownst to any of them, Christine's grill twitches.
So she's going to come back.
Yeah.
She's going to reform.
This could have... Anyway, I opened it up to being done as a sequel, and I'm surprised that they never did. I don't think they have.
I'm not surprised.
You're not?
I don't think... Stephen King didn't really like the book. He actually wrote another book about a
Stephen
possessed...
King didn't like the book?
No, it wasn't... Well, I don't think he hated it, but it wasn't one of his favourites.
Oh, okay.
So he actually wrote another book about a possessed car.
Okay.
A. Buick 8 something.
Buick.
This is the one I was going to butcher. Just read it in. So it's called A. Buick 8.
That's the name of the film.
That's the name
book.
of the book that he wrote.
Oh, okay, I've not heard of that.
Yeah, so he wasn't keen on Christine, as it wasn't his favourite that he'd written, so I didn't think there'd be a sequel to it. They could do a spin-off, couldn't they, based on the other book he wrote?
Yeah. Well, I guess, if they did do a sequel, it wouldn't be the same, would it? Because there's no Arnie.
No, it's not. It's called From A. Buick 8.
Oh, okay.
Don't you, I'd butcher that one.
So, I feel, just my last final thoughts on this, I feel there weren't an awful lot of mourning for Arnie coming from Dennis and Lee.
No.
You know?
Considering that was his best friend and his
friend
girlfriend.
and boyfriend, yeah. They seem to be more relieved that Christine was destroyed rather than, my best friend's just died.
I have to say, I think the whole character kind of development and the way the characters were written, their connections, their friendships, I don't think that was done great. I thought it seemed a bit fast. Like you didn't have time to properly
between
see...
Dennis and Arnie?
Between Dennis and Arnie, between Arnie and Lee.
Yeah, you didn't see an awful lot of Arnie and Lee.
Even between Arnie and Darnell, sorry. Even between those two, I thought they could have done more with their relationship, because it's like you say, it became like quite an aggressive, I don't want you in my garage, to actually maybe you could work for me and I can look out for you kind of thing. It would have been nice to see like those connections kind of grow a little bit more.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's an old film, so they don't allow for a lot of screen time.
Yeah, true. And I mean, this is already an hour and 50 minutes.
Exactly, it's already pretty long.
So there's only so much you can put in.
And I couldn't think of anything else they could take out. So, without just making it a ridiculously long film.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it all kind of flowed pretty well. I think the pacing and everything kind of fit just fine. But that's my own personal opinion.
Yeah, I think it did flow nicely. But I just wanted a bit more...
You wanted a bit more detail.
A bit more on like character bonds, because I like that personally. I like to feel connected to the character and like see the way that they grow together. And
I suppose if you wanted more character development, you'd have to sacrifice one of the characters that are in there.
Yeah, I suppose.
You know, I guess you need him, but maybe if you got rid of the police inspector, that would have given someone else more screen time and character development.
But equally, you got to have someone investigating all this stuff going on.
Yeah, but what did he really bring?
Not
You
much.
only see him 3 times. Twice, just kind of asking him questions. Where were you last night? And then him at the end. Well, oh, congratulations, kids! You stopped Christine. You know,
he brought passive aggression and rudeness, and that is it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, let's rate this movie from 1 to 10. I like to give it little fun ratings. So I've done out of 10 greasers with switch knives.
Greasers with switch knives. I like it.
So I'll go ahead and give my rating, and then you can go and give yours.
Go for it.
So what I have personally rated this, to justify it before I announce what I've given it, I have seen this film many, many times, and I've never got sick of it. I could watch this over and over again. I loved it. It's just one of those films that it would never bore me. Not like Stephen King and Carpenter. I really like it. I mentioned this on a previous episode of Creepshow, the episode before this, that Stephen King and George A. Romero writing and directing. When you get two great people to come together and work together, you can really expect something quite special to come out of it. So having Stephen King and John Carpenter create this movie, it's something that I personally think is fantastic. really love it. I know they both disagree, but that doesn't stop me as a fan enjoying their work. You know, they might not like it, but I do.
Yeah, no, it shouldn't. You should enjoy what you enjoy.
To wrap up, you know, the story, the acting, the pacing, the tension, and most importantly, the visuals of the killer car. I thought it was all great. It's definitely not worthy of a 10 out of 10, and I think 9 might be pushing it a little bit. So I think it's fair to give this an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 greasers with switch knives.
8 out of 10 greasers with switch knives.
Yeah.
Nice.
How would you rate this film?
For me, yeah, I really enjoy the movie. I personally like the way, you know, I love horror fantasy, so I like the kind of magical aspect with the car, and I like the way it's all kind of built on kind of real life situations. So like the thing with the men love their cars, and I just think it's a really good idea. I do think, like I say, the characters and the pacing wasn't the best for me. I think it could have been done better. I think fantastic idea, could have been executed better for me. So I've given it a 7 out of 10 greasers with switchblades.
Okay, that's good. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
All right, brilliant. So we're now going to get into our trivia section.
Trivia. Oh, yeah.
All right, so this is our trivia section. So I've gone online and I've found bits of trivia that I personally find really interesting, and hopefully you and other people listening would find it interesting as well. So, yeah, this is what I mentioned before about how many cars that were used for Christine. So 15% of the budget was just on the cars.
Wow. I thought there must be a lot going into that. There's a lot of crashes.
Do you want to have a guess at how many cars were used? How many Plymouth Furies?
20.
26.
Oh.
Yeah.
26.
26 Plymouth Furies were used for Christine. And all of them, except for 2, were destroyed.
Oh. That's sad, isn't it?
I know.
Well, they used actual Plymouth Furies as well. They didn't use, like, set ones.
No. And apparently, like, it was just as rare then to find a Plymouth Fury.
Really?
Yeah, so it was quite a lot to gather up 26 Plymouth Furies.
I bet it cost a lot as well. And that the film doubled it, and that's good.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, portions of the film, particularly Arnie's neighbourhood, were shot in the same South Pasadena neighbourhood that director John Carpenter used in Halloween in 1978.
Oh, I did think it had a bit of Halloween-y vibes, but I figured it's just because he made both movies, didn't he?
Yeah. He made both movies and he used the same neighbourhoods.
Interesting.
South Pasadena. To simulate the car's regenerating itself scene, hydraulic pumps were installed inside some of the film's numerous Plymouth Fury's stunt doubles. A mock-up in plastic that looked more metal on camera than actual metal was bent and deformed. These pumps were attached to cables, which were in turn attached to the car's bodywork, and when they were compressed, they would suck the panels inwards. Footage of the inward crumpling body was then reversed.
Ah, that's clever.
Giving the appearance that the car spontaneously reforms itself.
Ah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. So it was all in reverse. They crumpled it all up using hydraulic pumps and then reversed it, so it looks like it's
building back up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
I love it when films do stuff like that.
Yeah.
So good.
Work smarter.
We had one similar. I think it was Hellraiser. At the beginning, when Frank comes back and he's a big kind of goopy mess. But he's coming out of the floorboards and he's kind of turning into a human out of goop, and he's coming up. His arms are coming out and it's all that. And that was quite similar. It was like a wax model.
They melted
and they melted it
through it,
and then they just reversed it.
That's good. That's clever.
It's really good. Really clever. I love that. Screenwriter Bill Phillips thought it was a joke when he was asked to adapt a book about a killer car. Halfway through reading Stephen King's novel, Phillips realised it was actually a really good idea and signed on.
Yeah, it's a really good idea.
Stephen King chose a 58 Plymouth Fury for Christine because it was a forgotten car. He said, "I didn't want a car that had already had a legend attached to it." So, like the 50s Thunderbird. That was kind of an already established big known car. He didn't want a known car. He wanted
one that was a bit more under the radar.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not anymore.
Well, not now then.
No. He wanted to create a legend for a car.
If anything, he's put Plymouth back on the map. Okay, last one. This is quite funny. Alexandra Paul, who plays Lee, she pranked John Carpenter by taking her twin sister on set. And with the help of hair and makeup and the wardrobe department, she dressed up as Paul's character, Lee. They even filmed parts of one scene where she helps drive the bulldozer, and they kept it in the movie.
Okay.
Alexandra Paul walked out and jokingly asked John Carpenter if he fired her. And John Carpenter later admitted that he thought something was quite wrong, but he couldn't put his finger on it. So, yeah.
Did she have lines?
It's only... No.
Because okay.
I don't know. I don't think so.
I remember thinking, like, her acting was really shit there. Like, I don't know what... Because it was reasonable.
It was right at the end in the bulldozer scene.
Yeah,
before they
because I
crumple
know
up
these,
Christine.
like, 80s movies, the acting isn't always as on point as it is nowadays. But hers was okay until, like, one scene at the end. I just remember thinking, that was awful. Like, was she drunk? I don't know.
I'm not sure exactly what scene it is. Maybe I'll have to find it out.
Yeah, let's check that, because that would be interesting.
Yeah, there's one quick scene where it's not actually her, it's her twin sister, and they were playing a joke on Carpenter. And he didn't know. Yeah, that's all the trivia that I have. So now we're going to play a little game.
I want to play a game.
Okay, the game we've got this week is the game that Matt hates, right?
Okay.
This is the Rotten Tomatoes game.
Okay.
The rules are simple. I've got 6 movies, all Stephen King's. All you have to do is tell me which of these movies has either a higher or a lower Rotten Tomatoes score than what Christine has.
Okay.
So Christine has a 71% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay.
So I've got 6 films. First film was Cujo.
Oh, higher.
You reckon Cujo has a higher Rotten Tomatoes than Christine?
No, I'm going to say lower now. Now you said that. Lower.
Lower.
Final answer. Lock it in.
Okay. You're correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Cujo has a 59% rating.
59.
Next one, The Shining.
Higher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Shining has an 82% rating. Next up is the film that we did last week, Creepshow.
Okay. Lower. I'd say, like, just a bit lower though, like 60 something, 65.
Bloody hell. You got it bang on.
Did I?
65%,
Hey.
yeah. Wow.
Nice.
Wow, double points for that. Next up is Misery.
Oh, that one's tricky.
71% is what this film has.
I would say lower, but again, just a little bit.
You would be wrong.
Oh, is it higher?
It's a lot higher.
Is it?
91%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was surprised about that as well.
I didn't think Misery took off that much.
I didn't.
Okay then. It's a good film though.
So, your favourite, Pet Sematary?
The original or the remake?
The original.
Higher.
No.
What?
Yeah.
No, I quit.
51%.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god. I suppose the film wasn't that good. It was okay. It didn't hold a candle to the book.
Okay. All right, last one. The Green Mile.
Lower.
No, you're wrong.
Was it higher?
79%.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I wasn't very good at that, was I?
What'd you get? You got 3. Yeah, 3. 3 out of 6.
And my bonus point.
Okay, all right. 3.5.
3.5.
Yep, okay, well that was our game, Rotten Tomatoes, and that is all for this week's episode. The next episode we are doing is The Exorcist, and that was voted by you on our poll pick on both Facebook and YouTube. It won the possession poll. So that is what we'll be doing next week, and that is all. So unless you got anything else you want to add.
Nothing else to add.
Okay.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being a wonderful guest.
Oh.
Cool.
The end.
If you've liked today's episode, be sure to go and like us on Facebook. That's where we announce our next episodes, as well as each month doing a themed poll pick where you get to choose what you want us to watch. We like to hear from you, so please feel free to leave us a comment or send us a message, or you can even email us at allthingshorror666@gmail.com. That's all for today. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
This is my boomstick.